Hi, it's Lynne and welcome to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm a writer and entrepreneur, and through decades of writing articles for magazines and newspapers and authoring books, I've learned that we succeed through inspiration from storytelling and deep and mutually beneficial relationships. This show began in 2018 after my father was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and I wanted a way to capture his stories and record his insights. It's grown since then to share stories of how people around the world make meaning from very ordinary pursuits. Now I focus on sharing the stories of writers, authors, and those in the world of publishing to learn how and why we create stories that help us make meaning from the mundane. I'm a former journalist and marketing entrepreneur, and I've been teaching writing for more than 2 decades. As a writing coach, I help authors build their brands and share their words. I've had 8 books published already, and I just finished my second novel, so stay tuned for news about when and where you can read it. If you'd like to write with me, check out my offerings at lynnegaladner.com, and you'll find more episodes of this podcast at makemeaning.org, as well as on every podcast platform you can think of. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts. Thank you for tuning in to the Make Meaning podcast, where you'll find stories of courageous people daring to share their talent with the world. Now, on to the show. Hey everybody, it's Lynne Galadner. Welcome back to the Make Meaning podcast. I'm excited for this month's guest. Well, who am I kidding? I'm always excited for my guests. These are fascinating people with wonderful stories and inspiring work that we can model ourselves after and aspire to. So this month, who do I have? I have Dr. Indigo Willing. She's a sociologist, research consultant, and community volunteer at Griffith University in Queensland, Australia. In her work, Dr. Willing examines issues of power, social change, and representation in an effort to build bridges between academia and the community. As an orphan of the Vietnam War, Dr. Willing was adopted into an Australian family and describes herself as an activist who explores how to include more people across communities. She is project leader and co-founder of Consent is Rad and co-founder of We Skate QLD, as well as founder of the Adopted Vietnamese International Network and of one of Australia's largest all-female skate groups, We Skate Queensland. While all of this is phenomenal and inspiring, what really brought Dr. Willing to my attention and inspired me to invite her to be a guest on the Make Meaning podcast was an article on Oldster about how she became a skateboarding sensation at midlife. A month after earning her PhD at 41, Dr. Willing started skateboarding. Let's hear her story on this episode of the Make Meaning podcast. So, hey, Indigo, welcome to the Make Meaning podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to meet you, and I'm in quite awe of you. I'm not brave enough to skateboard myself, but we will get into your story. And so I want to start with an easy question. Tell me what drew you to skateboarding at the age of 41.
It's a sort of a lifelong passion story, really. Like when I was little, as a young person, I would catch a bus going past a skate park and see lots and lots of dudes. I don't think there are any other genders there, skateboarding on this giant 10-foot vert ramp. And they just look like they were having so much fun. And it's very dangerous looking. It looks really wild. But most of all, they just look really free. And, you know, I'd be on my bus going to uni or going to work or something and just think, wow, I really wish I could just walk in and do that. And given the time, there wasn't many minorities at the skate park. There wasn't, anybody but sort of, for me anyway, on the bus, sort of, men and boys and guys. And I didn't feel confident going in there. And so I did sort of like the reverse. Most people skateboard, then settle down and get a job and do all these other things. I did my studies, and then I finally got a skateboard, and I was really, really excited. It wasn't a very good skateboard at all. It was just from the mall or something. And I found out the week I bought my skateboard that I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, maybe now is not the time to learn to skateboard.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah. I kept getting big, like a beach ball, and I was really happy. And, but yeah, being a parent of a newborn and then a toddler, and also studying. So at that stage, I'd also applied to do a PhD. So I had a lot going on my plate. It wasn't the right time. Mm-hmm. And then when my son started school, then it was the right time. So then I thought, okay, like I would really love to follow that dream. So I remember a really inspirational woman telling me, she was a grandmother and she had an incredibly senior position in government, and she said to me, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at once.
Yeah.
And I agree
true.
with that.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I'm going to ask you some more about skateboarding. Then I want to go back and hear, your early stories. So, so we'll get it all in. But how did it feel when you got on that board and, after so many years of wanting to and yearning for it, like what thoughts went through your head?
So the very first time that I went skateboarding, I attended a workshop for people. So it was a pretty controlled environment at the skate park. It was very welcoming and friendly and intentionally sort of signposted for beginners. So they had a whole bunch of boards you could borrow. They had coaches that were, there to be friendly and show you the ropes without making you feel too embarrassed. And yeah, there were lots of people learning for the first time. So it was about 12 of us. And I went with a good friend of mine who now runs a skate group with me, actually, Evie Ryder. And we were both sort of petrified at this sort of what we thought was going to be a really macho dude-ish sort of environment. And of course there are dudes there, but they were very, very friendly and welcoming, and having these sort of, workshops for beginners is what makes the difference, I think. So I would have felt very scared if I just rocked up to the skate park by myself without knowing how to use the space or who to say hi to or where even to put my bag. To go into this place where people actually show you the etiquette, the flow of the skate park, what's the polite thing to do, what's sort of, disruptive in terms of the more experienced skateboarders having their turn and you having yours, because there's a whole life universe at a skate park that works.
Wow,
but unless
really?
you know how to use it, you're kind of in the way a lot of the time, or maybe you're not, but at least having a guide, I think, is just so important. So I felt nervous, but I had so much fun on the board. Something clicked. It was like that movie, I think, Billy Elliot, where he's a boy that loves ballet, and at the very end somebody says, why do you want to do ballet, or what does it feel like? And he says it feels like electricity. And it's the same with a skateboard. It's like oxygen. It's just perfect sort of feeling for my personality and my disposition. I just felt like it was electric and it was like oxygen.
Oh, that's amazing. It's funny. I'm detouring. Actually, this is not even on my planned questions, but I'm a writer, and I teach a lot of writing classes, and I try to take people, especially at midlife, back to what they felt when they were younger and writing, and like it didn't have to earn money and it didn't have to get published, and it was just like, like when I was little in the 70s, I had this little corduroy covered journal that I would take everywhere and just write stories and skits and poems and whatever, and it just filled me up. It was like I was meant to write. And then I feel like you get older and you're told, like, I need to find a reliable position. I need a reliable income generator. And so you kind of leave that passion for whatever it was that like really filled you. And I feel like when we get to midlife, you're just sort of like, how can I reclaim that? Like, that's really who I am at the core. So how do you feel about that? I mean, you started really skating in earnest later, but it probably did that for you. And I'm sure you felt similar things when you were younger too.
Yeah. So studying skateboarding at 41 is kind of unusual, or it was back then. I think more and more mums in particular, because I'm a mum, more mums are realizing that there are other mums that are going to the skate park and having a lot of fun. So fun is an essential part of our well-being. Having fun is part of every culture across the world. It's a universal thing that we seek. Having fun is socially bonding. It's not just good for our mental health, it's also good just for our social well-being. And it just depends how you have that. I mean, we're all capable of being silly, and doing it with other people even better. And skateboarding gives that sort of affordance. Like, I mean, you don't make money from it, that's for sure. At least I don't. At my age, there are definitely younger people that will have amazing careers with skateboarding, and we're really trying to encourage that with some of the community work that I do. But as an adult, just having fun for fun's sake is very, very important, I think. And you find time for what you love. So I have a lot of friends that are like academics, or they have more sort of so-called responsible jobs, and they have time to go have coffee with a friend. They might have, they have time when it's, when it's asked of them to spend an hour doing something. So spending an hour being at a skate park is, really, really, it's not always easy to do, but it's very, very exciting, exhilarating, and I just find it much more interesting than sitting around the coffee shop or something that other people might.
So I have a question. This is going to make me sound like a real old fogey, and I'll own it. But like, were you scared at all? Were you afraid, like, oh my God, I'm going to, break something, or I'm going to, yeah. I mean, I know like when we're younger and we do those things, we don't ever think about it. And now I'm like, it's icy on the sidewalk and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to fall. So, did any of that occur to you, or were you just like, no, I need to get on the board?
Yeah, there's a lot of injury in skateboarding, that's for sure, especially if you want to progress to doing tricks at a skate park. And everybody carries their own danger and risk level and capacity. So we all have a capacity to take risks and to take ourselves into situations where we might physically fail, we might hurt ourselves. But the thing with skateboarding is most people just get up and do it again. It's a drive to fail until you get something. So there's, I think, a saying in skateboarding, don't do it till you get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong.
I like that.
I mean, it's just like a human nature that we like to progress in something. And even when you get a child and you give them some Lego, they continue to progress what they're building. They find new ways to use the Lego. They get really absorbed by it. And there are various frustrations along the way, and you can't find your piece. And, maybe it doesn't look like you want it and you have to pull it all down and start again. And skateboarding is very much like that. It's a stages of progression. With the physical side of it, I would suggest to learners that they get all the safety equipment and, that can help with confidence. But I also have a background in dancing and figure skating, and I've led a reasonably toughish life, even despite that. Like, people were very racist where I grew up, and I'm used to all kinds of challenges and just sort of really just getting up off the ground when you're pushed down. So skateboarding was for me in that respect.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll skip ahead, and I want to hear about your upbringing. I know that you were an orphan and refugee from the Vietnam War. And so tell me how, take me through the journey and how your experiences informed what has come after.
I think coming from an orphanage in the Vietnam War has shaped my life every day. And every time I look in the mirror, I wonder a little bit about who I am, but I also feel the need to be responsible for the opportunities that I have in front of me, and the twist of fate that sometimes happens. So I'm very proud of being Vietnamese. I don't speak the language, and I'm not very traditionally Vietnamese culturally, but I think you always carry within you a sense of connection to your relatives, to your ancestors, and to the legacy they leave in Vietnamese culture as well. There's a very strong belief in a connection between the dead and the living. And in fact, in their Tet festival, TET, once a year, it's like a stage where heaven and earth meet. And maybe it's a bit like how in Mexico they have the Day of the Dead or something, but it's a time to honor your ancestors and the ghosts of your ancestors, pay them respect, and they can watch over you. And it's sort of not a very Western approach to how you see the universe, but definitely it's something that I feel very strongly. So I've always grown up being an outsider. I was raised by white Australian family. So I had two brothers and my parents that were all white, and it wasn't a highly Vietnamese populated area that I grew up in. So I'm a little used to being a misfit and just being very independent. And it affords you two things. It lets you see through all the nonsense when people are racist, because it doesn't really make any difference to how you connect, and all the stereotypes about Asians and white people and whoever, they don't really hold true when you're adopted. Secondly, I think it also makes you feel a connection with strangers very quickly. You have to do that. So it's a nice way to operate in the world in general, and specifically in skateboarding, no matter what background people are from or what race or what ethnicity or cultural background. It's looking for the ways that you can connect with people in a really nice, meaningful way. So I guess there's a lot of, different stories about adoption I could tell you, and some of them are a bit more on the harder side and the darker side and the traumatic side. And I've written about that in plenty of things, but I just wanted to concentrate today on the connection back to skateboarding. It gives you an independence, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I really appreciate a little bit of backstory. Obviously, what drew me to you was everything that I read about you skateboarding later in life and really becoming this amazing force and inspiration. And with that in mind, I know now you lead one of Australia's largest all-female skate groups, We Skate Queensland, right?
Actually, it's not all female. We
Okay.
started off as Girls Skate Brisbane.
Okay.
And it was an all-girls group of skateboarders. And then we started finding out that the people skateboarding with us, the people that were running the skateboarding group with us, and just skateboarders in general, there's a lot more diversity. There's a lot more gender diversity. So we have, women, non-binary skaters, men skaters that want to hang out and be really supportive. So we changed from Girls Skate Brisbane to We Skate Queensland to be all inclusive of the people we are, and also the people that are skating with us.
Sure.
And it was a very important move, because I think any scene, once you can get past that girls only focus, that's what you want. You want everyone just to be a skateboarder. You don't want them to be specifically, this is for, you because you don't fit in. So
yeah. So what does We Skate Queensland do?
Okay, so in skateboarding, it still can be a bit lonely when you turn up to the skate park. So We Skate Queensland makes sure that we have meetups once a month where people that are new to the skate park, or maybe they just still feel a bit vulnerable or whatever, can have a safe space to skate. We also have an annual competition that is for everybody that is, at beginner's level right up to they want to be in the Olympics one day. Wow. And we hold different, levels of skate competitions. It's open genders, but people get the experience of how to be in a skate competition. So we have everything what we call the silly division, where we give out prizes for people that have the silliest skate tricks, and people are really have a lot of fun with that, and pull faces or do giant trains where they're all holding hands across the skate park, to that really elite level where we've had people that are now sponsored, and they'll definitely be in the Olympics in the future, having a go too and getting prizes. And apart from that, we're trying to make skateboarding more inclusive across the board. So we give women and kids and non-binary and trans and all types of different skateboarders with different backgrounds an opportunity to MC at the events, be judges, events management, run market stalls. So it's really the culture of skateboarding, making as inclusive and diverse as possible, is what We Skate Queensland do. And it reflects who we are as well. So I founded it with Evie Ryder and Tora Waldron, and we've got two other people that have joined us, Lily Turek and Millie Miljavec, and a whole bunch of volunteers from all different, backgrounds. So Vietnamese, Australian, we've got queer skateboarders. We've got sort of all different types of people giving us their experiences and shaping how skateboard is for them.
That's awesome. That's so great. I know that you also lead other movements, and you're pretty activist in a lot of directions. Can you tell me a little bit about some of your other passions or efforts that you're leading as well?
So I'm really about community as opposed to activism. I think activism just is a little bit narrow and focused, and you can lose sight of how everybody should benefit from whatever social change you want. So I'm very much into community, and because I was raised by people from a different culture, my grandmother, who's not Vietnamese, but she's a very wise person, and she was a sort of an anti-war activist and really cool. It reminded me always to put community before clicks, and to put people before popularity. I mean, it was such a good upbringing, because any scene that you join will have popular groups, and will have people that are celebrities, or like the popular people or the cool people. And I love that. But I think it's also important to look at what are the common needs and common values and common ways that people can get together and find solutions for things that affect part of the community, and therefore it affects everybody in a sense. So some of the other things that I do is I co-run a initiative called Consent is Rad, as a radical, R-A-D.
Yeah.
And that was launched in a skateboarding conference of all things, a skateboarding conference for academics and skateboarders. Really, really cool
stuff. I'm trying to get my head around that. A skateboarding conference for academics. I have to understand that. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah. So what it was, I think, a week-long event in Malmo, Sweden. It was the second one that Pushing Borders, who were the people that organized it. Yeah, they did it in London first, sorry, and then they did it in Sweden. And what it does is it brings together the handful of academics from architecture, sociology, social work, business, who skateboard and write about skateboarding, together with the actual business side of skateboarding. So the industry, so the people that make the wheels and the boards and the sporting companies, together again with people that might do skateboarding social projects and community work. So that might mean people that bring skateboarding to new communities that haven't done it before, and say Afghanistan or, Cambodia, and bring more gender diversity into skateboarding. And yeah, it was like 5 days of sort of listening to each other and what we're up to and how we've approached problems in our community and made change, or the changes that we want and what sort of help we need. And I was just very lucky that I was able to launch Consent is Rad at that international event with an audience that was made up of some of the most influential and wise people in skateboarding. And I don't mean the academics, I mean the skateboarders that are, have been skateboarding for, 20 plus years. And and sort of that was really helpful, because it's very hard to talk about in any, I guess, any sport or any subcultural scene, the topic of consent.
Yeah.
It's an uncomfortable thing to bring it up in the workplace. I think things like sexual harassment and the more serious spectrum of that, so sexual assault, people feel very awkward talking about that. So the idea of Consent is Rad was simply to start a conversation and to draw attention and normalize this idea that we should ask for consent in our everyday practices, but also those boundaries that are crossed, and how to not be just a bystander and turn into an ally and make change and change the culture to be less hostile and unsafe for some people.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So it's a global effort then.
Yeah, we were very fortunate to have the global audience to launch it. And then the participants so far that have been helping us with the campaign come from everywhere. So the United States, we've got a collaboration going on with the Netherlands, people in Sweden, the type of people that we feature from all over the world. So it could just be some skateboarders in, the Netherlands that want to make a video of people painting Consent is Red on a wall. More sustained efforts like running an actual education program for skate companies and elite skateboarders to learn about consent.
That's great. That's awesome. And anything else that you want to mention? Any of the other efforts or movements that you're part of?
There's so much going on that I think probably not my movement, or maybe they share the movement as well, but I definitely really like to emphasize the diversity in skateboarding, and First Nations or Indigenous skateboarding companies out there that don't always get the spotlight, but definitely do the work and are very exciting. And, there's so much that non-Indigenous people can learn from their skateboarding scenes and what they're creating in their DIY cultures, and just the enormous love for skateboarding and gnarliness of what they're doing. So I think paying attention to some of those First Nations and Indigenous skateboarding companies.
Awesome. We'll put it all in the show notes and make sure that there are links so people can check it out and definitely learn more. Before we close, I want to ask just a couple more questions. I'd love to touch on some of your scholarly work. I know that you are a university professor. Can you tell me a little bit about what your focus is and what you're hoping to accomplish in the classroom?
Okay. So in Australia, you're not called a professor, you're called a doctor until you are a professor. So professors are very, very, very senior. And hopefully there's more younger professors and more genders, but the sort of stereotype of the stuffy professor.
Yes, okay.
So you start off as a lecturer, and you one day will be a professor if you want to go that pathway. But I kind of like live a bit freer and kind of like a loose cannon and enjoy all kinds of things. So I do my community work, I skateboard, I spend a lot of time just hanging out with my son and being a mum. And I do love teaching though. So I teach people research methods.
Okay.
And what they do is they take their passion and say, I want to do this research project. And I teach them how to interview or do focus groups or visual research, and just turn their ideas into practical ways to connect with people and get their perspectives and then share them. Yeah, I only teach what I want. I think if you're a full-time academic, you get a lot of, you get told to do what a lot of, I think as I
Yeah.
said before, I'm very independent and I just want to do cool things and
I
fun
love
things.
it. Oh, I love it. No, that's it. That's enough. Like I can totally relate. I'm a strong woman and I love my independence and
Yeah.
you just want to go where your passions take you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I work my ass off and I work 3 jobs sometimes and I don't have much sleep and I'm up at 4 a.m. sometimes doing work. So I don't want to make it sound like this is an easy path for anybody, but
Yeah.
I think it's the right path for me to,
Mhm.
yeah, have a bit more freedom and flexibility and use my energies across several different areas for what I want to do in the world.
Yeah. You've received a lot of coverage. There have been articles and interviews really all over the world, and which is how I found you all the way, 14 hours ahead on another day. So I wonder what message you would say your life is offering to others, or, what do you want them to see in you? That I know that sounds really big and sort of uncomfortable, but what are you hoping people think or learn when they see you and learn about you?
I learned something very great from the people I meet, and I'm not sure Kim Woozy, Asian American skateboarder, coined the term, but she definitely shares it a lot, and it's very inspiring. She says, "You can't be what you can't see,"
Mm,
and I think that applies to everybody. So it doesn't matter what your background, your age, your passion. When you put yourself out there, don't think of it as like an individual, hey, look at me kind of thing.
yeah,
Think of
yeah.
it as a person in the community that is making it okay and normalizing somebody else with similar background or similar hopes or similar levels of what you do to also be in that space. You're literally making space by being out there and talking and sharing a story. So it really is about representation and not being like the first person to do something, but just having that space and bringing people there that it's not unusual for you to be there.
Yeah, I
I don't
love
want to
it.
be unique and the first mum doing something or anything like that. I want to not even be a mum
Yeah.
skater. I just want to be a skater. So we just need to point out that we exist even with this background or because of this background.
Hmm.
But yeah, we all have something that we have in common and we all deserve to be in this world doing what we do, doing
I
our
love
thing.
it. I love it. Well, Indigo Willing, it's been so great chatting with you, and I just want to thank you for being a guest on the Make Meaning podcast.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast with Lynn Golodner. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like what you've heard, subscribe and share this episode with the meaningful people in your world. And please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. You can learn more at makemeaning.org or lynngolodner.com.